Welcome to the Adoption and Foster Care Journey, a podcast to encourage, educate, and equip you to care for children and youth through adoption, foster, and kinship care. Hosted by an adoptive mom with over 22 years of kinship and adoptive parenting experience. She's on this journey with you. Please welcome Sandra Flach.
I have said these things to you so that you may have peace. In the world, you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. That is the words of Jesus in John 16:33. I'm your host, Sandra Flach. Welcome to the Adoption and Foster Care Journey, where, as always, it is my joy to encourage and equip you for your parenting journey. I, too, I'm an adoptive mom with over 26 years of lived adoption experience. So I get it. My husband and I have raised, 8 kids altogether, 5 through adoption, 2 are still home. We get the whole trauma and prenatal exposure to alcohol and all of the, fun stuff that goes along with this journey. So I know the ups and downs. And I hope that this podcast will become an invaluable resource for your journey. I didn't have any resources like this when we started so many years ago. So it's my heart and passion to equip you for your parenting journey so that you really can stay the course with hope and with the joy that we should be having on this journey. So I hope that you will find that here, along with some inspiration. So I also invite you to check out our new social media pages. I've been making this announcement, but want to make sure that everybody knows to go on over to the Adoption and Foster Care Journey social pages and like and follow them. We are on Instagram at AFC_journey, and we're on Facebook now as the Adoption and Foster Care Journey. So go over and like and follow. We would love to connect with you there, as well as in person. I'm so excited. I've been talking up where I'm going to be this fall, and I will be at CAFO in Houston, Texas, from October 1st through 3rd, where I'll be doing a breakout session, a better together workshop, teaching and speaking on FASD, as well as we're going to do an FASD parent meetup. So if you're parenting a kiddo or kiddos who were prenatally exposed to alcohol, whether or not they're diagnosed, whether or not you know 100% for sure, but if you suspect that at all, there's going to be a bunch of us meeting up there. It'll be on the schedule, so you'll know what room, that hasn't been assigned yet. But it's just a time where we can fellowship, link arms, and pray. I want to be able to make sure that we have some time for prayer as well and just get to know one another. So looking forward to that in October 1st through 3rd in Houston. And then a couple of weeks later, I will be at the Replanted conference, where I will also do a breakout session on FASD. Replanted is in Chicago, October 23rd through 25th. So I'm doing a workshop there. And at both conferences, I will have an exhibitor booth. So you can actually stop by the booth, pick up some resources, connect with me, chat with me. Let's take a selfie. So really hope that you'll take advantage of these conferences. I've got some more coming up early next year. I'll let you know about those when we get there, but we'll get closer to that, but I hope to connect with you there. So now I'm so excited to bring you our guest today because we have adoptive mom, Kayla Moffitt. Kayla is totally and completely exhausted as a mom of 5 siblings who spent years in foster care. Her days are spent sipping untended cold coffee in the carpool line and folding tiny t-shirts while searching for every single left sock. She has plenty of right ones if you need them. She also has a brand new baby, which we'll hear about that too. Kayla holds a BA in creative writing and an MA in English language. She works as the communications coordinator for Foster the Family, where her passion for advocating in the foster care and adoption space is fiercely fueled. Kayla married her middle school sweetheart, Jared, and still cherishes the note she wrote him after listening to George Strait's hit, Check Yes or No. That takes you back a spot. Spoiler alert, he checked yes. So please welcome to the show, Kayla Moffitt. Hey, Kayla, welcome to the show.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you and to get to meet you. Like I follow you on social media, so get a glimpse into your world, and I just couldn't wait to get to know you and have you on the show. And you just have that ministry to encourage uh, fellow foster and adoptive parents. So I'm so super excited. You're a mom of five adopted kids through foster care. I'm a mom of five kids through between international adoption and kinship. So we've got a little bit in common there. And I always love to hear another mom's story. So, what led you and Jared to become foster parents?
So we had been married for about 9 years, and we're in our late 20s. We were youth pastors, and we were ready to start a family. Um, and somewhere along the way, the Lord just started laying little nuggets in my path about foster care, about adoption. There was an organization where we lived in Arkansas called Project Zero, and it's what a lot of people probably know as like the Heart Gallery, where kids who were in foster care, but their parents' rights had already been terminated, so they were considered like waiting children. And they were mostly, older children or sibling groups. Well, we got connected with them, and the Lord just like burst my heart wide open. It was never something like I didn't just think, growing up that I was going to be a foster or adoptive mom. I thought that, motherhood would find me in a traditional way, but it didn't. And so my husband was outside in like 2018 in the fall, and he was mowing, and I just went outside and I said, "Hey, I think that we should be foster parents." And he cut the mower off, and we started a very long conversation that night that led us to here, 7, 8 years later. So we started the process of opening up our home, and our caseworker, we were walking down the stairs of all the upstairs is where the kids would be and where the rooms, we had rooms ready, and our license was open up for up to two kids up to age 10, because we thought that was big and brave, getting two and not just having one move in with us. But she casually said, "Hey, just letting you know your home can take up to five," where we laughed because there was no way, and then we got connected more heavily with Project Zero and the executive director there. And she sent me a Facebook message one night and said, "Hey, I heard that your home could take up to five, and I just want you to know that there's a sibling group of five um, who is needing a forever home." And she sent me the picture. That was the first time I laid eyes on my children.
Wow. So were they the very first kids that you even fostered? They were the first kids that came in.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like from day one, it was just always been them. We did like some respite and things like that after the fact, but yeah, they were our first like placement and on to forever.
Yeah. I mean, we did four siblings, but we got three first, and then found out there was a fourth one and got him. So we do have a sibling set of four, but
Mhm.
they didn't come all at once. So how old were the kids when they first came?
Yeah, when they came, they were 3, 4, 6, 10, and 13.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
goodness.
like potty training to teenage boy drama, like
And all of the things that go along with it, right? So
yeah.
so
Yeah.
what was that? So they were already released for adoption, and so they came, and that was the plan. How long were they actually with you guys before you finalized adoption?
Yeah, so we technically fostered them for 9 to 10 months, but they were a pre-adoptive placement. And so at the end of that fostering term, they sat myself down, Jared down, our caseworker, and our oldest daughter, because she was 14 at that time. And so she was old enough to make the decision. They asked us if we wanted to go ahead and move forward with the adoption, and we all signed the paperwork, and then they set a court date.
Wow, incredible. So, we know that children who come through foster care, they've experienced, some level of trauma. They've all experienced loss. What was that adjustment like for your family? Because you've got a vast spread of ages there, lots of littles. Assuming that there was lots of trauma, how did you navigate all of that in those early days?
Yeah, it was really interesting to navigate their different ages. Like our oldest, she had so they were in care for 3.5 years. So like our youngest, he had always been in pretty much in foster care. But he had pretty much been with one home. So he knew his mom, and then he knew his foster mom, and so they were both mommies to him. And so that was just gut wrenching to him, like he's like, I don't know anyone else. So coming to me, we really, really struggles with just accepting my role, as another mommy. Whereas like our oldest two, like they had been in care for so long, they had had a transition of different parents and stuff that for a long time, we were just another set of foster parents. And I don't say that in a derogatory way. But there was no other way to look at us, because for 3 years, like one of our girls, we were her 31st home. So 31st home before age 10, that's over 30 either single or sets of caregivers. So how could we be anything else to her, than just another home, just another bedroom, just another set of rules, just another mom in the place setting, So it took a long time and still takes time. We're almost 5 years in to being a forever family, and there are still days that it's you know she doesn't know, she has to have confirmation of if we're going to come home and if she gets to go with us, and things like that. So it hasn't went away, but it was in the beginning, it was hard and challenging to navigate their different ages and their different levels of understanding, because the little ones didn't understand and the oldest had seen too much and understood it too well to even think that this could happen for them,
Right. And so then they weren't always together as a sibling set of five.
No, yeah, I did the math, and they were separated for 83% of their time. So keeping them together was just huge and a
Mhm.
gift. And I'm thankful that because the state could have separated them. There's not a lot of people that can not a lot of homes that can take large sibling groups because of the rules and regulations. And so I was thankful for the state to see the beauty in keeping that and preserving that sibling relationship.
Wow, incredible. And then, a lot of kids, my youngest two who are they're my youngest two, but they're like 19 and 21. So that time, and they're the last two still home, but they both also, in addition to the trauma, had prenatal exposure to alcohol. So they both have a fetal alcohol syndrome diagnosis, which we know adds kind of like, it's like next level fun, right? So do you have any of that going on at your house? Any
Yeah,
ex
we have one that has a reactive attachment disorder, like official diagnosis, and that is so eye-opening, to just the devastation of foster care, and even adoption in some ways, because I think when you get down to the bottom of it all, like families aren't supposed to break. And God didn't design families to break. And so we are living in something that was not God's design. And so of course there's tragedy and heartbreak. And it's just hard to navigate. We've had some other diagnoses, um, but we've been able to really, through therapy and through medication, we've been able to see the other side of those. But with RAD, as probably so many parents know who are in that, that's just one that's just a devastating diagnosis to live and walk through.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's all, not how God intended, right? But we have to step in, and then we have to become experienced in, understanding what's going on, right? And there could be a number of things. So with trauma, how did you become trauma informed? Like I know you obviously had to take the foster parent classes. Was there anything beyond that? Because I understand you are a TBRI practitioner, correct?
Right.
Trust-based
Mhm.
relational intervention. So tell us, how did you get to that point?
Out of pure desperation, um, for the sake of my family. A lot of people become TBRI practitioners because they're in, a career of social work, or counseling, things like that. I was because I had 5 kids and I wanted to change the dynamics of my home because not because of them, but because of me. Because I was leaving a legacy as a mother that I was not proud of, because I didn't know how to handle things. I didn't understand it. I was very ignorant. I went in very, very with rose-colored glasses. And then, it all happened times five. And I couldn't keep up. And so, my way of dealing with things was just reaching frustration very quickly and not giving grace where it was deserved and so heavily needed. And so I was started following, social media accounts in the foster care and adoption space and heard about TBRI and signed myself up quick, to become a practitioner just for the sake and the health of my family. And it changed everything. I am now leaving a legacy that I'm not always getting it right, but I'm proud of. I'm able to show up well and with grace and extend, patience and meet my kids where they are and not where the world says that they should be or where I unfortunately made the mistake of expecting them to be. And TBRI, putting on that lens and a trauma-informed lens has just completely changed my parenting. My home is so much better for it. I'm so much better for it.
Yeah, I love that because I know for my family, we came in first through a kinship placement. So our daughter came to us when she was 8, but because she didn't go, she came to us, so she didn't go into foster care, but that meant we didn't have any of the training. We had 3 biological children, so we thought we knew what we were doing when it came to parenting, had no inkling about trauma or any of the things. So we slogged through, did the same thing, set expectations, parented her like one of our biological kids with, all the same privileges and blessings, but also the same expectations and disciplines and corrections. And it was just terrible, right?
Yeah,
Like I said, I was not proud of those early years at all. And then we brought home our 3 siblings internationally. And crazy enough, I did read a book on attachment prior to that, but they kind of clicked into our family. And there wasn't the really big, crazy, hard behaviors. It was like blessed chaos, but it wasn't so hard.
sure.
I'm sure it was hard, but it wasn't like it's when we went back for the final sibling, the 4th sibling, out of our kids adopted internationally, the second we met him, it was like, oh, we are not equipped for this child. Like
Right.
he was 5, all 5 years in the orphanage, also prenatally exposed to alcohol, did get an FAS diagnosis, but we had no, we brought him home and we started desperately searching for help. And
Hmm.
I found at that point the Connected Child book,
Yeah,
devoured that, started trying to apply all the things. So many of our listeners are probably familiar with The Connected Child by Dr. Karen Purvis. Highly recommend, absolute requirement for every foster and
sure.
adoptive and kinship caregiver. Um,
Yep.
and then I like found out this was back when Dr. Purvis herself was doing the Empowered to Connect. So we
Mhm.
live in New York. We flew to Nashville to sit
Mhm.
under Dr. Purvis for 3 days. And then just like anytime we could get to an Empowered to Connect or online or whatever, hosted one at our church once and just applied all of those principles. And
Mhm.
it was a game changer for our family as
Yes.
well. And then my husband and I did become Empowered to Connect parent trainers for a while under Ryan and Kayla North, who I'm sure you know.
Okay. Yeah. Hmm.
And then, but then, so we were doing really well until our boys became teenagers. And then it was like, okay, what is going on? And that's when we recognized that we probably needed to know a little bit more about the fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, because the youngest two were diagnosed, but they got the diagnosis and then we got like nothing, you
Right.
know, have a nice day. But
Right.
so then I took a deep dive into that specifically and got professional training in FASD. But all of it, we do that for our kids,
Mhm.
and then it helps other families as well, because then we
Yeah.
speak out about it and we can encourage and equip others. So I love that. So do you, Kayla, in addition to applying that with your own family, do you speak and teach on TBRI? Do you help other families?
Not in a like professional role. I will share like with my friends, or if someone messages me about it, I'll share like tips and tricks that I do. I can, go and teach and do like the TBRI basics class and things like that for parents, but it's not something that I do right now. And then I also in February, I was a part of the Empowered to Connect facilitators training. So I was able to do that too. So that's a gift as well. Like if anyone hasn't done, hasn't set out to learn more trauma-informed parenting, like Empowered to Connect or TBRI, I definitely recommend either of those.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And I love that. And I understand why you're not like out there all the time doing it, because you're just a little bit busy at home.
Right. A
In
little
addition to
bit.
your 5 kids, you just had a baby too, right?
Did, yes. Sweet little baby Jovi. She's been a joy and a gift and a whole nother like game changer. Like I'm like I was scared to death, and I'm like telling friends like I don't know how to do this, and they're like, Kayla, you have 5 kids, and I'm like, yeah, but none of them were newborns. Like our youngest, he was 2 when we met him, and a few months later he turned 3 whenever he moved in. So it's totally different, like we had missed all of that from him, and then our oldest, she was 13. So having a newborn, Jovi is now 3 months, and she's rocking our world for sure.
She's precious. I've seen pictures on social media. How old are are the 5 now?
Yeah, so our youngest and only boy is Drew. Well, other than Jovi, but youngest of the siblings is Drew. He is 7, and then Nia is 9. Willow is 11. Ari is 14, and Shay is 18.
Wow. And I didn't mean for that to be a trick question, because I can't keep track
I
of
know. I'm like,
I,
what are
any
they? How old are they?
like I know everybody's dates of birth, right?
Yeah.
And I
Mhm.
can go I can go to the pharmacy and pick up the meds. And when they want to know the date of birth, I usually get it right. It's like, oh wait, no, different kid. But I know those, but don't ask me how old everybody's, because my oldest, I have 8 kids altogether. And my oldest, from the biological group was, I think he's 30, I think he's 36.
Right.
So they're
Maybe.
from 36 down to like 20. Well, Slava will be 20 in October. So there's just, I can't keep track. And
Yeah.
after they turn 21, I don't know how old they
Yeah. Yeah. We're in birthday season right now. Like we have like 4 of their birthdays happen in like 40 days from one another, and it just started. So like I'm like, who has had a birthday so far?
But it changes all the time, right? Just when we think we know it, it changes and it's crazy. So, what are your days like now, parenting a large family from a 3-month-old to an 18-year-old?
Yeah, well, during the summer, it's just kind of I try to be as structured as possible, but some days it's just like, they're somewhere in the house. Yeah, I'm not sure what they're doing. And then they've been a beautiful gift for Jovi. They are all really stepping into big sister and big brother role. That's been really beautiful to watch. And then I work remotely for Foster the Family. So I do, my work with national programs and communications, so that keeps me busy. But day to day, I don't think that we're always thriving. We're definitely surviving, but some days we are thriving, and every day that we get there is a blessing for sure.
Sandra Flach, host of the Adoption and Foster Care Journey podcast, and FASD educator Debbie Raymond, invite you to join Hope for the FASD Journey, a virtual support community for parents and caregivers raising individuals with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, diagnosed or not. This faith-based support community meets online 3 times each month, features special VIP guests, and a private Facebook group for members only, which includes Soul Care Saturday video devotionals led by Sandra and Deb. Both Sandra and Deb are adoptive moms raising kids with FASD and facilitators of the Facets Neurobehavioral Model. For details and to register, visit justicefororphans.ny.org/hope-community. That's justicefororphans.ny.org/hope-community.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned Foster the Family. So you're the communications coordinator, and I'm sure our listeners are familiar with Foster the Family. We've had Jamie Finn on this podcast before. So tell us about the work you do with Foster the Family.
Yeah, it is an incredible organization that my heart aligns so much with their mission and what they do and who they are. And Jamie is, I know you know this from having her, but she is everything that she says she is and is online. And she's our founder and she's incredible. And our executive director, Savannah, is just someone else with lived experience and just powerful women that I'm honored to work under and alongside. But I am the national communications and I just stepped into a program coordinator role. So I am doing a lot of marketing, I run like the social media accounts and we have like Field. If you've been to Field before, it's the gathering in Pennsylvania every year for foster, adoptive, and kinship moms. And so I do social media for that and then we're launching some new programs like Field Local and Field Virtual. So just making Field more accessible for moms everywhere in the US and beyond. So my day-to-day is just navigating in between those programs and communications, and I love doing it. It's basically just spent encouraging foster, adoptive, and kinship moms, and that's where my heart is.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm getting to come for the first time to Field in it's January or February.
February, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll be there. I'm going to be doing a breakout session on FASD. So
Perfect.
I'm super excited to finally be able to come.
Yes.
And we'll make sure that we put a link in our show notes to Foster the Family and Field. And
Yeah.
Field fills up, right? Is it full already or is there still
It's
room?
not. It typically will fill up like I want to say like the end of the year. And this year we've been able to open it up to 1,500 moms. So it opened up by 300 seats compared to last year. But I want to say, I'm sorry, Jamie, if I get it wrong. I want to say the first one was 7, 8 years ago, and there were like 70 women. And just in that short amount of time, it has exploded to this just
Incredible.
huge, incredible. And it is done so well. It is my favorite weekend out of the year, other than Christmas. I don't know. May have Christmas beat. Because it is just there's no gift in this space like being in a room or just whether it's just me and you or whether it's me, you, and 1,499 other women who get it, who live this, who I can share something or don't even have to share it. Either they look at me and say, I get it, me too, I've been there, you're not alone, you'll get past this. There's just no greater gift than the gift of community, and Field offers that in person. So we have things like this, like your podcast and social media accounts that give us just pieces of, even though we're not together, like give us pieces of encouragement and community. And then Field gives us, fully immersed community of being in person. So it's wonderful.
Yeah, I love it. And we'll make sure that we put in the show notes a link to the website so our listeners can,
Yeah.
and the dates and all of that so that they can have all that. But it is in Pennsylvania and I know I'll be there. You'll be
Yeah.
there.
Yep, I'll be there.
there.
Yeah.
So everybody has to come. So there's still room. Don't delay because I know it does fill up. So we want to make sure that people take advantage of that because you're right. We need that. We need to be able to link arms and encourage one another and just gather. And sometimes just being in a room together without anybody even saying anything.
Right.
Just such a
Able to
blessing.
breathe. Yep. Just rest and be encouraged. It's wonderful.
Love it. So super excited about that. And wanted to ask you about the verse because you chose the verse I opened with, where Jesus said, I have said these things to you that you might have peace. In the world, you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world.
Mhm.
Kayla, what does John 16:33 mean to you?
It it is a verse that I've always held on to. I was raised in church. My dad was a pastor. I lived a very privileged life, raised in the southern hills of Arkansas in a small town. Um, and my family, I have a beautiful family. My dad has passed away, but he was, the rock of our family. And my mom is wonderful and my best friend. And I was very privileged and very ignorant to hardships because I didn't really experience any. So I'd held on to that verse through like little things, and I always say like we don't compare hard. So like what Kayla in 2010 thought was hard, she still thought it was hard, and it was still hard, and that's okay. But it's nothing like what Kayla in 2025 thinks is hard. Um, but that verse is, was I was able to get through things with that verse with just knowing that the Lord anticipated that the hard was going to happen, but he just tells me to take heart because in me you'll have peace, and I'm still here. But then walking in this journey, the week that our kids moved in was the week that my dad passed away to COVID-19. So that was just compounded grief.
Mm.
I became, I say often like my mother had started in brokenness, because I was learning how to become a mom while I was simultaneously grieving the fresh loss of my father. So learning how to parent while losing a parent. Um, and I just always kept that verse right there with me. Like, the Lord saw this, and this isn't a surprise to him. And even though I don't understand it, and even though I don't think it's fair, and even though isn't what I signed up for, and this is hard, and this is not a surprise to him because he told me in this world you will have tribulations. In this world it will be hard. It's not always going to be easy, but take heart. I've already beat all of this. This is all done and finished on the cross, and and everything. Like there is no need to worry, even though of course I will. I'm very good at worrying.
Mhm.
Um, but at the end of the day, like I know what the Lord's already done for me and where he's already met my needs before I even knew that I had to ask them. So that verse has got me through a lot.
I love that. Love it for sure. Do you have a website? How could our listeners, if they're interested in learning more or following you on social media, where can we find you?
Yeah, I don't have a website, but you can follow along at Making the Moffitts. It's Moffitt. And I'm on like Facebook and Instagram and just share pieces of my heart there, pieces of my day to day, from like, hey, I made banana bread today to, hey, this is something that I've learned as a foster and adoptive mom that may be encouraging to you. And people can follow me along there.
Yeah, and I follow you, and it's such an inspiration and encouragement. So I do encourage our listeners to follow Kayla. It's at Making the Moffitts on Instagram, and you're also on. Are you on Facebook as Making the Moffitts or just as Kayla?
Mhm. Yeah, as Making the Moffitts, yeah, I have a page there. Mhm.
Yeah. So we'll make sure that's in our show notes as well, so our listeners can find you and follow along, and I'm sure that they would all be inspired by that. So, Kayla, our listeners, like we talked about earlier, are primarily foster and adoptive parents, moms like us. We know the hard journey. So as we wrap it up today, would you share some words of encouragement for our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. Something that I, not everyone will struggle with this, and you may not struggle with this as a foster adoptive or kinship mom, but something I greatly struggled with was confidence in my role as a foster and adoptive mom and just battling insecurity. Um, and so, what I wish that Kayla back then knew, that Kayla here knows now, is that and that I want you to know is that you don't have to, you're not competing with anyone. Um, your role is your role and your role alone. And the Lord, created you for such a time as this. I don't, again, we talked about like God's plans for families weren't for them to be broken. But sometimes this happens and we're here. So I don't think, I often say like my kids weren't made to be mine, but they are mine. And I can be confident in that role. And God has equipped me and He will equip you for any hardship, any trauma, anything that you find yourself walking down and you're like, I didn't know that it was going to be this way. And what did I do? And any of the shameful feelings that you may feel, I've felt them too. So just know that you're not alone and that there are people praying for you, people supporting you, podcasts like this, gatherings like Filled, where you can go find yourself a community, find yourself a village. And the Lord sees you and He holds you close in the day to day.
Yeah. And the village is so important. I know we talked about Filled a little bit, but that was, there's nobody who gets it quite like somebody else who's on this journey, and
Right.
finding our village is so important. How do you, are you in Arkansas, or are you someplace else now?
I'm in North Carolina.
You're in North Carolina.
Yeah.
So how do you find community in North Carolina?
Yeah, so working in the foster care and adoption space, like I get to find it every day when I log into work, right? Because we're so many of us, not all of the team, but a good portion of the team has lived experience in some way. But in person, our church has a foster and adoptive support group. So every other Sunday, I get to go and meet with a handful of parents who are walking this journey. Some of them are new, and some of them who have been foster parents for like longer than I've been alive. So it's like you have the wisdom from everyone, and then also like you get to see like the super excitement from the new ones, because in certain ways, like, some of us we're jaded, and we've been hurt and it's like, oh, this is, so hard, but you're able to see both sides of I've been this in for so long, and this is what I would share with you. And then the excitement of, we just opened our home, and so just being in a place where I can meet with people in all seasons of their foster care and adoption journey is fun. So yeah, finding a support group or finding a friend and just making sure you're talking and checking in every day, who's also a foster and adoptive mom. I have several that I keep close and just share everything from, like I said, the mundane and the good and the really hard. Because like I said, community is your greatest gift, and it takes a village, and we're also called to be the village.
Yeah, no, that's true, because we have that role to be able to
Yeah,
encourage others. And then we all need to press into the Lord, right? Because that's the only way we're going to really make it through.
for sure. For sure. Yeah.
So Kayla, thank you so much for your encouragement, for all that you do on behalf of the foster care and adoption community. Your social media is incredible. I hope our listeners will follow you. Congratulations on the new
Mhm.
baby. Um,
Thank you.
and thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Kayla is a gem. I'm grateful that you tuned in today to hear my conversation with Kayla Moffitt. I hope you check out her social media. We will put the links in the show notes. And I didn't start talking about Filled yet because that's going to be early next year, but I will be there doing a breakout session on FASD. So I hope if you're able to get to Filled, which is in Pennsylvania, we will put the links in the show notes for that as well. That it would be a great place. It's just for foster, adoptive, and kinship moms. So consider that as a place to go and get your cup filled. I'm sure that that's what they meant by that, right? Very creative. So, as a mom of two young adults with fetal alcohol syndrome, I spent my early years struggling, trying to figure it out. You guys have heard some of my story, became trauma informed. It was still very hard, had to become FASD informed. And that is why I'm so passionate about providing FASD, fetal alcohol spectrum disorder resources to you guys. So every month I offer a free 1 hour intro online. It's live, it's not a recording. So you'll have opportunity at the end to ask questions and interact with me. So I offer one of those every month for free. And then I do have I call them deep dives, where we can go anywhere from 3 hours to 15 hours, a whole day conference, or several online work sessions. Really, I can personalize it, whatever. I do a lot of speaking and come to foster and adoption support groups and things like that. But every month online, there's a free intro, as well as I offer a 3-hour deep dive, which is there is a registration fee for that, but that's also offered every month. You can do one or the other or both, whatever you're interested in. And then this fall, I believe starting on October 30th, and if you're listening to this podcast in real time, it's 2025. I'll be doing starting my we have to name this better, but I'll say it's the deepest deep dive. It's 15 hours worth of content. It will be 5 3-hour sessions on consecutive Thursday nights, except for on Thanksgiving. We're going to skip that. And so I think the last session will be the first Thursday in December, whatever that date is. And that is, I use the Facets neurobehavioral model. So it's a brain-based approach to understanding the brain, the impacts of alcohol on the brain, the primary, secondary, tertiary symptoms of FASD, and then how to provide accommodations for our kiddos across environments, at home, at school, at church, out in the community, on the job, things like that. So stay tuned to our website where you can register for any or all of these workshops, or if you're looking at having me come to your location to speak to your group, you can do all of that at our website, justicefororphansny.org. And I'm super excited because our incredible, fabulous graphic designer, Kathy, is about to launch the updated version of our website. So it's undergoing some renovation, and possibly by the time you hear this episode, it may be the new one, maybe all live. But either way, go to justicefororphansny.org, and everything that we do through this podcast, all of the FASD training and support group and parent coaching, everything that I do is on that website, because that's the parent organization over all of the adoption and foster care journey stuff. So I hope that you will check that out. Also, I just posted a new blog post on my website, which is sandraflach.com. And this is the thing. Once the Justice for Orphans website is updated, you won't have to go here, there, and everywhere. You can just go there and it will get you to my blog. So somehow you'll be able to find it, but check that out. And of course, subscribe and follow this podcast. Leave us a review. And tell your fellow adoption and foster care friends about the podcast, as well as if you like to watch your podcasts. I've never done that. I always listen to my podcasts while I'm doing like all the other things, the whole multitasking thing. But if you like to watch the podcast, if you want to see what my hair looks like on any given day, we do have all of the episodes on the video version of the episodes on YouTube, but it's the Justice for Orphans YouTube channel. So you would have to go there to find the video version of this podcast. Anyway, if you're still listening, make sure that you go over and follow and like our new socials at the Adoption and Foster Care Journey. And I will let you go finally, because it's been a long day. I am grateful that you spent your valuable time with me today, and I'm thrilled to have you along for the journey.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Adoption and Foster Care Journey podcast, brought to you by Justice for Orphans. We hope you were encouraged today. Please be sure to subscribe to this podcast and leave a review, and share it with your fellow foster and adoptive parent friends so they can be encouraged too. Be sure to find and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Justice for Orphans, and check out our website for vital resources at justicefororphansny.org.